Hello there, my name is Laolu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. That's my take for today, entitled Osun decides the first test of all his fear in politics. With EFCC moves, viral threats and pre-election blood, Saturday's poll will signal what 2027 will look like. And so, on the 15th of August, tomorrow Saturday, Osun gubernatorial election is the last off-cycle election before the 2027 general polls in Nigeria. Now, even more importantly, it is the first election to be conducted after the president told us that all is fair in politics. That statement is now hanging over Osun like a cloud. So you must ask, which of these is fair? The killings and the violence in the run-up to the voting, is it fair? The EFCC's attempt to freeze Osun state government accounts close to the poll, an action that the president himself had to hurriedly reverse with a personally signed statement. Was that fair? That is why everyone is watching. The opposition, civil society, the international community, and I'm sure that the president himself is keeping an eye on what is happening. Here are things that I believe will define the poll of Osun Guba on Saturday. Number one, it is the last off-cycle test before 2027. Edo and Ondo gave us the previews and also Anambra to an extent. Osun is the final exam. Whether this poll is free, fair, and credible will be read as a direct signal of what to expect in 2027. If the people's vote counts tomorrow, confidence will hold. If their vote don't count, Nigerians will go into 2027 convinced already that the game is rigged. Osun is the prologue, and prologues set the tone. Second, the blood on the road to Saturday, according to the Inspector General of Police, is no less than 20 people who have allegedly lost their lives within the past few months ahead of the poll. In fact, the IGR to add that, I'm quoting now, we are preparing for an election, not a war, unquote. Specific incidents reported include attacks in Osogbo, in Ilesha, in Ede, in Iwo, in Ife, and Ikiru, with arrests and fatalities linked to party clashes. Most prominent was the arrest and the alleged beating of several Accord party members in Iwo, with reports of one fatality. And my final point is on Professor Joash Amukwito and INEC's litmus test. The INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amukwito, and the commission as an institution, they are on a trial this Saturday in Osun State. Now, Yaga Africa has identified that in 30 local governments, there is the high risk for the poll, including Osogbo and Irewole, as critical risk points, and even Iwo, Boripe, Ife Central, and Ife East as high risk. Every late arrival of material, every beaver's failure, every delay in uploading results will be interpreted as a proof of compromise. This is why Amukwito and his team of INEC should sit up. Osun is INEC's opportunity to redeem its lost image since 2023. If results are transmitted in real time and the process is transparent, the commission can buy back some trust from the Nigerian people. If not, INEC walks into 2027 with a discredited reputation. And this is a very heavy burden, but so are the stakes. This is how I conclude. Osun may be just one state, but its meaning, especially the election for tomorrow, is big time, it's national. The people of Osun must be encouraged to come out and vote. They should not be intimidated. And all people of goodwill must condemn the violence that we have seen firmly. Mr. President, you said that all is fair in politics. Nigerians are now watching to see what you meant the whole of Nigeria and the international community are watching very closely. The vote must be free, the vote must be fair, the security agencies must be neutral, INEC must be neutral and bold. Let the result reflect the will of the people of Osun, not the weight of the federal might in Abuja. Because if we cannot get Osun right, with all eyes on it, then we have no hope getting Nigeria right in 2027. And that is a cost that Nigeria cannot afford to pay. And there you have it. Inside Sources goes full blast right after this. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I'm leading the show with a conversation with a leading Nigerian progressive politician, somebody who has led the secretariat of the Progressive Governors Forum and who rose to become a vice chairman, a national vice chairman of the ruling APC before he left the party to form what was meant to be the major opposition party, ADC. And someone who is actually leading the G100, a group of Nigerians that are calling on the opposition politicians, the leading opposition politicians, to form a common front as we go ahead in January for the presidential poll. So I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources my brother and friend, Malam Saliu Lukman. Good to see you again on Inside Sources.
Thank you. Good to see you, Raul.
We're going to talk about the statement of G11 titled The Doctrine of a Necessary Democratic Opposition. And, you know, I have quite a lot of things to say about that. Well-written statement and got the right attitude. But I must ask you, do you think that some of what is happening can be traced, or there is a link to what the president had told the Catholic bishop, you know, a few weeks back, that all is fair in politics?
You see, I have had comments to that effect, and I have seen people making a comparison with what happened, for instance, under Buhari, how late President Buhari appeared to be much more tolerant. I don't know, I'm not competent to speak about how the president is being managed. But clearly there is something fundamentally wrong. That he could even voice those things he has said to the Catholic bishops is quite alarming. And two things he has said that are quite worrisome. All is fair in politics. The second issue is that, as far as he's concerned, INEC is neutral.
Why did he have to become the spokesperson of INEC?
He doesn't need to be spokesperson of INEC. And at another occasion, he said it's not his responsibility to help the opposition. I mean, look. When you become president, yes, you can be partisan, but you should know that there is a level of responsibility which is above your partisan interests.
Yeah, as president.
As president of the Federal Republic. And those are the worrisome thing. And for me, I mean, more than a year ago or 2 years ago, I keep making the point that the president we know as the governor of Lagos is not the person that is presiding over Nigeria. Because there is clearly, I mean, some of us, you and I know him a bit much more closely. We couldn't have associated him with that level of reckless statement. You know, maybe the people around him, the quality has degenerated to that level, you know, and we must also, which is why, for instance, some of us feel very concerned. We can't take additional 4-year risk. Whatever needs to be done, it's not that we had the president. I campaigned for the president in the last election. But this is not what we campaigned for. This has to be clarified.
The Osun election is tomorrow. I wanted you to say something in terms of what ought to happen. Speak to INEC, speak to the people of Osun. What do you think should happen tomorrow? And what is the implication of it?
I would prefer to speak to the people of Osun. I think the people of Osun should stand up for what they believe, who they think should be the governor, and go out and vote and protect their votes. I think that is very important. If, for whatever reason, they become apathetical, so that they don't care whatever, and many of them refuse to go and vote. They just surrender their destiny for the next 4 years in the hands of people who may not have their interests. That will be my message to the people of Osun. As for INEC, I just hope they are doing the right thing, and I hope they will resist the temptation to do the bidding, because the whole story of federal might and the way now off-season election become a congregation of public officers. We've seen from Edo to even Ekiti. How even now, if you check, maybe all the governors of APC are in Osun. That for me is a way of intimidation which INEC must resist.
Yeah, so two things I want to follow up on that, and then we move on, Madam. So this idea of other governors, massing in the places where they're having this off-season election, can you tell us how did this start? What was the purpose? You were a former national vice chairman of APC, so Madam, you know all about this. What does it really mean? What do they do when they come around like that? Just help us understand.
Honestly, I have struggled to trace when did this actually start. I know at the beginning in PGF, every time there is election,
you are the Director General of Progressive Governors.
Governors will come together to discuss issue of strategy, but at the end of the day, everything is in the hands of the party. 1 or 2 governors may be nominated into the campaign council, and they will all work together to coordinate. But not in a way that, because you see, increasingly things degenerated to the level even party primary. Because I remember the case of Edo 20. Is it 20?
The one that brought in Conrad?
No. The one that they wanted to get Obaseki out.
Okay.
The primary, if you remember, I think it was Governor Hope Ozodimma that went to conduct, and they said they did direct primary, and they repeated it in the one that brought Opobo Lumondi, the current governor. They repeated it, and if you remember, they had to repeat the primary again.
True.
So, look, somehow, it also showed the level at which party administration has been weakened so much, to the extent that those who are supposed to be taking instruction from the party become giving instruction to the party. So, unless we get things right, to the extent, and if you remember, just play back, those you and I are old enough to remember during the Second Republic, you only hear governor. Although there was no incidences of off-season election then, but you hardly hear governors playing any major role
outside
their own responsibility. Party issues are managed by party leaders. And these are the issues we must begin to address. And I tell you, part of the other bigger issues is the fact that in all of this thing, party funding is almost zero. So governors come in to use state resources.
They bring in the cash.
Exactly. Which means basically election financing is more or less driven by the amount of public resources being invested in the election.
Mostly by the governors.
Mostly by the governors. And this needs to be addressed. If you continue to shy away from discussing these issues and finding solution to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is part of the issue why, for instance, just do a check. All those aspiring to be president are former public office holders.
Yeah.
And for you to aspire to be governor, unless you are a former public office holder and you stash away money, you cannot even think about it.
Yeah.
So, how do we start correcting? These are bigger questions if we are interested in fixing this democracy.
And we have to be, but before we move on, let's just say, like you said, that the people of Osun should go out, don't allow yourself to be intimidated. This is about your destiny. You should go out and vote for the candidate of your choice and make sure that your vote counts. And we are trusting that INEC will also do the right thing. Very important to emphasize those points, like you have also said. Now, so let's come to the D100. And some of the names that are there are quite notable people, such as yourself. Malam Saliu Lukman, we have Honorable Nena Ikeje, Dr. Akilu Ndabara, Professor Anthony Kila, Dr. Emeka Ejikonye, Dr. Ibrahim Modibo, Dr. Ladan Saliu, Dr. Ayo Fagbemi, Ose Aneni is there, Saliu Tanko Yakasai, and on it goes, 100 of you. And you typed your statement, the doctrine of a necessary democratic opposition, which is an open letter to the leaders of the opposition and leaders of thought, civil society, and Nigerians of good conscience. Since you issued this statement 2 Sundays ago, I think it's going to be 2 weeks on Sunday, what has been the feedback that you guys have gotten?
Okay, first, before I give you the feedback, let me indicate to you, we are members of different political parties.
Yeah.
There are a few that are not even
politicians.
They are not politicians. But what brought us all together is the concern that certainly this country deserves better. And moving toward the 2027 election, we could see we are almost going to replay what happened in 2023. For instance, they are becoming much more intolerant, which is well manifested in his meeting with the Catholic bishop, for instance. And it's also well manifested if you see the response of spokespeople in the presidency to criticism.
Yeah.
We are quite worried and alarmed that if we don't take time, post-20, if at this period when they are looking for votes, they will be this much intolerant. By the time they come back, we may end up having an era of tyranny, because the level of intolerance may move into the aspect of basically caging opposition and going after them. And we don't want to take that risk.
Right.
And to avoid that, we felt the bigger question is not even to come out and be attacking, because whatever you say about APC, criticism, Nigeria will say, okay, what is the alternative?
Yeah, that we already know. So what are we doing about it?
What are we doing? So we believe, and that is the issue, we need to engage the opposition to get things right at 2 levels.
Okay.
At one level, they must understand, for them to present the potential of winning the election against APC and President Tinubu, they have to unite. The second level is that for the Nigerian citizens to have confidence that and come out and vote for them, they must present an evidential program that shows that they are committed and capable of responding to the challenges of Nigeria.
And that they are different, don't you think?
And they are different. That's the issue. Because the question now, And all of us, I'm sure if we proceed, you will now take me to the point about the individuals who are in the opposition, how they move from one party, they were in APC before, blah, blah, all of us, and what difference are we? But it's a question that needs to be answered systematically through really looking at issues and negotiating them. Not based on proclamation or declaration. If there is going to be declaration, it has to be a product of agreement. So which will translate into commitment by all the people in the opposition, which is absent now. And so we felt we need to engage them. Now, coming to your question, after issuing the statement, we forward the same statement. We issue the statement publicly. We forward the same statement to key leaders in the opposition leadership. I requested to meet with them. And so far, they granted us audience, and we used last week to do that. We followed through, met most of them, if not all of them, have been across 6 political parties, and the statement we issued about 3 days ago will clarify the 6 parties. Basically, ADC, PDP, Turaki leadership, APM, NDC, PRP, and SDP. These are the 6 parties. We went through, we met mainly the national chairman, presidential candidate, and their running mate.
So did you meet all of the 3 chairman, presidential candidates?
In most cases, there are 1 or 2 that we have been unable to meet, but when we met the other, they gave commitment they are going to discuss.
Did you meet VP Atiku?
Look, I don't want to mention names because like we said in our statement, we met them in absolute confidence, you know, and because the issues are quite sensitive, we don't want to reduce them to putting individuals on the spot.
I understand.
So we went through all of
that. I also had to ask, but of course, you know,
you know, so we met all of them, and the main issue we presented is the need to come together and the danger of not coming together, what it means both electorally and for the country generally if this government come back, and what it also means to all of them. Because some of the questions we posed to them in many of those meetings is the need for them to clarify. Do they just want to be in the ballot
for being sake?
For being sake, or they want to win the election? And we present the issues in a very clear terms. If it's about winning the election, this is the way to go. And that we are very clear that, look, at this point it will be unfair because we know the complexity of the issues. If we say, okay, the first issue is that one of you, we must adopt one candidate. We know that we are going to scatter the discussion.
If we start with that.
If we start with that. And we told them that, look, what is required at this stage is they need to set up structures of engagement. Structure that will enable them to develop stronger relationship, because it is the quality of relationship that will determine how much sacrifice they can make for one another and how much trust they could invest in each other. You know, and they were quite receptive. It is at that point we put, if you notice in that document, we made the commitment and we said in 2 weeks' time, National Council of Opposition Leaders. That was how we made the proposal about a summit on the 18th, and they all welcome it.
18th of this month.
18th, which is next week. And they all welcome it. And to that extent, each of the parties agree to nominate representatives that we could sit together to plan things. As we are talking, we are already planning. In fact, I think today we have a meeting of the planning session. And
this will be in Abuja, the August 18th.
It's in Abuja, where we are doing the planning and we'll come out with clear details in terms of which will reflect the interests of all the parties. The other thing I can tell you that, yes, when we issue the statement, 100 of us signed the statement. Of course, the number, because somehow it became very popular. I cannot say how many people are supporting this initiative now. Even the parties we consulted 6 parties, were receiving requests, more interest from more parties, and we are still engaging the parties. To that extent, I can even tell you, we have had meeting with the minority caucus of the House of Reps, and they gave us commitment. They want to work with us. They in fact indicated, even if we have not started, they had they have their own plan to initiate something like this. So there is no need to reinvent.
The minority caucus in the Senate or
in the House of Reps.
House of Reps,
And they indicated that they are going to engage the minority caucus in the Senate too. In fact, the leadership of the minority caucus of the House of Reps have agreed to also nominate a representative to the planning process of whatever we are doing. So, in a number of respects, it's taking a life of its own. And the only thing which we keep emphasizing, we are not setting up a parallel structure that will now begin to harass political leaders or dictate to political leaders. All we are trying to do is to be facilitators, to give critical support to the opposition leadership, to present something more cogent, much more appealing to Nigerian citizens.
So basically you are saying that you will let the opposition leaders take the decisions.
They will take the decisions.
You are creating a platform for them to sit down.
Exactly.
You are saying that, look, this matter has to be discussed.
And I can tell you some of the issues that came from our consultation. They are so careful. They don't want to repeat what they call, quote and unquote, the mistake of Ibadan.
Okay. According
to many of them said, we went to Ibadan, made a declaration, but no structure
to follow up.
And they insisted before, and they challenged us, and we took up the challenge. That we must come up with proposals that will address all of those issues. And we are doing so in many respects. We have submitted some of the proposals to them. And if once we come to that summit, these are some of the issues that will be finalized. The question will be how much work needs to be done, and that is the issue we are now addressing at the technical level. Before we get to the summit, to ensure that there is real harmony, and at the end of the day, it will ensure that the pronouncement that will be made is backed by everybody.
And it's sustainable.
It's sustainable. So these are the challenge, which is why in different stations when I appear and this question was raised, I admitted, I said, look, it's not an easy task. No doubt. But challenges are there. So long as we are alive, there will be challenges.
Absolutely.
But as a nation, we must also recognize that this country deserves better than what we have today.
Yeah, I wanted to give you, ask you a follow-up question because our time is fast spent. In an ideal situation, Madam, what do you expect to happen? Are you going to, because as it is right now, you have all these parties, they all have their presidential candidates, okay? Even PDP, the Turaki, has a presidential candidate. So you are not looking at using a party platform at this point. So tell us that in an ideal situation, is it going to be something like what we had in 1999 when Olufalaye and AD and Shinkafi of APP, came together? Is that still possible at this point, or what? In an ideal sense, as we wrap up.
I'm happy you read that, because this country is rich with many experiences, some successful, some unsuccessful. From First Republic to this current Third Republic. First Republic, if you remember, the most successful model was the NNA, NPC and NCNC. That's the one excellent model.
In the First Republic.
In the current republic, I'm happy you cited the 1998, the AAD and APP model. But even much recent, if you remember, that the one that did not succeed, the ACN and CPC attempt.
In 2011.
2011.
Right.
So there are many models. The issue is to get the leaders to have the right mindset to engage it. That is the preliminary work we are doing now.
Yeah.
If when they have the right mindset, we are convinced the question of choice will be easy for them.
And you're making a good decision to say that, you let them be the one to determine.
They will take the decision. Which is why when I hear people say, so long as he's our candidate, no. As facilitators, you are free to say this is what you want. But know that what you want is a proposal for negotiation.
Right. Among yourself. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, this is, and I must say that, Madam, I have known you even when we were in government as somebody that is not only progressive-minded, but very thorough, in your articulation. And I must say to you that this attempt is a patriotic move on behalf of democracy. It is important to have a viable opposition.
Look, I'm not cutting you short, my brother. You look at Nigeria and you look at the talent and the human resource we have, and how we are successful in so many fields, and then in the political field, we become, the worst case scenario
is quite,
and because we are the worst case politically, is now damaging.
It messes up everything.
Almost everything. So for me, this is a life project.
It is.
And we are telling our leaders, this is a calling to demonstrate their patriotic duty to the nation and how much they love the citizens of Nigeria.
And that's why I'm going to read one of the things that I found interesting as we conclude, and I'll let you have the last word. It says that while the executive, talking about state of the nation, in that your statement, the G100, it says while the executive consolidate powers, opposition fragments. While the people seek leadership, too many leaders pursue personal ambition. That is not merely the failure of political parties, it is the weakening of democracy itself. That is why I believe that this your project is very, very core, because if you have a situation where the opposition is lame, it encourages the excessive use of power by the incumbent, and that serves nobody any good. So thank you so much for this. But one last thing that I should ask you, Mr. Akim Baba Ahmed, who is the leader of PRP, and you had mentioned him too. He said something recently. He said that if President Tinubu returns in 2027, the North is finished. How do you? What does that mean? Can you give us an?
Well,
how do you react to that?
I have reacted in a way at the beginning when I made the point about how things are going down. And I don't think it's just the North. For me, if APC and President Asuwaju come back, I would say Nigeria is going to be finished.
Wow.
And we just have to face that reality. And which is why our appeal to leaders, and honestly, when I hear statesmen like President Obasanjo engaging the issue in a partisan way, I get worried. I think leaders and fathers of the nation like President Obasanjo should see above individuals and personalities. At this point, the present danger is basically the APC government and President Tinubu. And we need to take advantage of the democratic process
to resolve that.
And resolving that, we have to get the opposition to get things right. This is my position, and I say so without any apology to APC and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I was part of them, and absolutely. I stated why I disagree with them, and I see them not taking correction, and to that extent, therefore, they constitute the present danger. and we have to take advantage of the democratic process to get them out of power.
Exactly. Because like you said, a government that fears no opposition soon forgets the people. Thank you so much. And democracy is about the people.
It is about the people.
Thank you so much, Madam Saliu Lukman. Thank you for your progressive antecedents and the sustenance of being forthright in this matter. And we hope that indeed we'll be able to have a viable, robust, election in 2027, and may the better candidate win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. That's the segment. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back. In this segment, I'm going to be having a conversation about the development, especially in the National Assembly, where you have a group of people coming together to form the Save Nigeria group. And they issued a statement that raised quite a number of issues, especially about the sustenance of democracy. To join me in that important conversation, I have an honorable member of the House of Reps, who is the representative from Delta State, Okpe, Sapele, Uwei Federal Constituency, Honorable Benedict Etane Bene. My brother, welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
All right. Since it's your first time, I'm going to ask you that if you look at where Nigeria is today, what kind of future do you think is ahead of us?
Okay. Nigeria is moving, has potentials to becoming one of the best in the world. I believe personally that this country is blessed than any other country on earth.
Wow.
In its human capital, its resources, weather, the mentality of the people. It's one of the best. Just unfortunate that we have not been able to get good leaders in the mode of some other leaders you have in other countries, to really propel us.
And some that we've even had in the past, don't you think?
Yeah. If we are continuing in the trajectory of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in this Fourth Republic, if we are continuing in that trajectory, I'm sure we would have been far more than where we are today.
Or even in the Second Republic, First Republic, where we had
yes, Shehu Shagari and the rest. The features of democracy, what could make democracy really grow,
right?
Was visible. I was not threatened, as it is today. So if you remove that threat to democracy, which actually made all of us come together under Safe Democracy, group, if you remove that threat to democracy, the trajectory of Nigeria is bright and the future is good. Okay,
thank you so much for those opening comments. So in your statement, which you made sometimes last week on the 5th of August, you raised issues around disregard for the rule of law, a chronic budget under implementation, which you guys said that it is an impeachable breach. You also raised the issue about alleged misappropriation and off-budget spending. So there are two major things about financing. Two other issues you raised, insecurity, of course, and of course, you talked about the role of some of the religious leaders. I wanted to ask you, tell us, what is the composition of this Safe Democracy group is it in the National Assembly or only in the House of Reps? What's the composition?
It's members of the House of Reps.
Okay.
But it's open to every Nigerian.
So it's not just opposition?
No, it's not opposition. They are members of the ruling party. Nigeria is bigger than any political party. It's bigger than any individual. It's a concern for all of us to make our country, better for all of us. We shouldn't get excited, with being members of a particular political party and begin to be parochial with our reasonings. I really believe, that when we come together as a group, irrespective of political party, tribe, religion, we could actually get Nigeria to the place. So, great members, and it's open to Nigerians who are interested.
And so right now, your membership is drawn from not just the opposition parties.
No.
And do you have members of the House?
Yes.
As members of this group?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the target of this group? What do you guys want to achieve?
We want to draw awareness of government to preserve the institutions of democracy.
That's the executive arm of government.
Yes.
And the awareness or to pressure them, really.
Well, that's I don't want to use the word.
Okay.
Pressure looks like combative.
Okay. Because they are not unaware. That's why I say
yes, they know exactly what. Nobody who would have the opportunity to become a leader of a country or government, or maybe at a high level of executive, does not know what it takes, to grow democracy. Yeah. So we all know, but sometimes we are carried away with our personal interest and that of cronies, and we deviate from doing what is right into doing what we think is right, but detrimental to the country.
Interesting. Yeah. So the among the 5 issues that you raised, you did ask that you want the National Assembly to reconvene. Why? Because right now you guys are on recess. Why is it urgent?
I think the matters.
What are the issues?
Yes, the matters of concern in Nigeria today, they are growing by the day. They are not abating. They are growing. Why sometimes we take 1 step forward, we take 3, backwards. If we take the case of our security situation, we are not getting better. We are happy that recently we got some successes in Oyo, but there are other people still in captivity, and they are still picking people till today and tomorrow. So we must address. We must not focus on politics. Where acts of governance is suffering. So we need to come back and talk about this insecurity situation. And let me be very particular. It is related in a way to budget. Okay. Because recent time we have seen or heard that they will not come to the public to say it, but the military, they are complaining of underfunding.
Even the military?
Yes. If you remember what one distinguished senator was talking about recently, he was saying that even the people from defense are complaining they've not got releases, for 2024, 25. Very small patry. So how do you really combat insecurity? These bandits with sophisticated weapons, with bare hands, of small munitions. So it will work. So we need to focus on the budget. Time is going. Don't forget that the life of the budget, will cease to exist by September 30th, where we extended it to. That is 2024, 25. We are almost coming to the end of 2026 now. So what are we going to be talking about after September 20? Maybe extend it again, to December. So we need to come back, discuss this issue.
2 of your issues has to do with budget. What kind of action are you guys proposing ought to be taken?
Budget implementation in Nigeria today is so opaque, that we really don't know what is going on. In one breath, you hear the government says that they have exceeded all their revenue generation from agencies that are responsible for that.
But they're meeting their targets.
Yeah, they are even exceeded. In another breath, you see Mr. President are giving kudos. The allocations to local governments and to states, has increased tremendously. Yeah. More than 5 times, according to him. Yet we are unable to fund capital components in our budget since 2024. And there must be a missing link somewhere. We've borrowed so much money. The National Assembly has been very kind, to allow some of those borrowings, and we seem not to know exactly where we are putting, those money. It is very important that we should sit, come and look at the budget, get Mr. President, or, there was a time that I asked that Mr. President should appear, and I took a motion on that on the floor of the House, should appear. It didn't get through, but
your colleagues,
yes, my mind. No, they liked it, but somehow, those in authority, they boggled it, with one motion they brought, and the motion, the prayers were different from what the gentleman, was going to say. After I moved mine.
You're talking of the leadership of the House.
Yes, okay. Yes. Look, they know what is good. But what I think in Nigeria today is we are desperate to impress our leaders. We want to be put in the book of being loyal. It does not matter how we achieve it. You know, being loyal, even if you have to do what is wrong
to show your
loyalty, you seem to be applauded. You seem
okay. Sorry. So we are ranking loyalty above patriotism.
Completely. That's exactly what you find in Nigeria today, and it's so strange. It's so strange. You don't find that in many other countries. It's only in Nigeria. You know, because the way leaders are even patronizing those who are showing loyalty to them, not to the country, is a pathetic situation. Very, very,
sad. But how do you respond, Honorable, to the view in some sessions that this National Assembly, you know, although it's more about the leadership, but since you are a member of the National Assembly, I think I should ask you that this National Assembly is the worst since 1999 in terms of rubber stamping what the executive wants. How do you respond to that?
No, I will not say it's the worst. You know, this is my first time, and and will be my only time. I was not in the other back. No, I don't have any business. I could do better in other areas. Growing democracy. It didn't meet my expectation, you know, but I'm not going to conclude, you know, that it was the worst. I don't know what happened in some other, you know, houses. But if Nigerians say that, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue against Nigerians, you know, that they are not correct. You know, we seem not to have really our outcome seem not to have, you know, pleased Nigerians, because sometimes we don't really show how we arrived in those outcomes. Let me give you an example. You saw how we passed the Electoral Act. You know, there was no robust consensus. There was no discussion to that effect. You know, and it just went like that. Why will Nigerians not say that this is the worst? You see how the police bill, you know,
is progressive.
You know, we got to the floor and we were supposed to do clause by clause. It didn't go like that. So when Nigerians are getting that, you know, outcome, you know, like that, they will certainly say that this is about not a good assembly. But those of us inside, we know the battle we take. You know, of course, it is.
Tell us about that battle.
No, we do a lot of battles. Even in the loans, these loans is areas where I just stamping. It's not like that. You know, it's debated. You know, it's argued. We ask for clarity, information. Sometimes we call the ministers in charge. They may not provide adequate, you know, satisfactory explanations for those things. But at the end of the day, majority, they say, have their way, while minority have their say. So it is the outcome that people see to think everybody is in agreement, you know, with that kind of decision. It's not like that, you know. We may not be too vocal about it, you know, in the past. But, you know, we have a new minority caucus, you know, that is actually showing a new direction, you know, to opposition politics in the National Assembly. We're not fighting anybody. We're just doing the role of opposition. And democracy, you know, actually agrees that we should do, you know, that. And it's permissible under a democratic system.
Well, as a matter of fact, you know, if we look at your own precedent, and quite interesting that you said you're not coming back, you came in through the Labour Party. In 2023, the Labour Party excited Nigerians. As a matter of fact, you know, as you will recall, it was stunning, you know, the performance of Labour Party winning Lagos State presidential, and I think, you know, the party at the presidential post amassed like you know, a little less than 6 million votes, and then brought people such as yourself for the first time into the National Assembly. So I'd like to ask you, you know, and then we will conclude on this. So what happened to the Labour Party that had so much excitement? Don't you feel sad, for instance, that you had to leave the party, you know, that brought you in? You know, what was your take? You know, tell us that story.
I'm really pained, you know, by the developments in the Labour Party. Really pained. My expectations were not as it is now. Personally, I fought hard to keep it together, because my belief is that we're just starting a new phase in Nigeria. Give the Labour Party a few years after we came in 2023.
Yeah.
By today, we should have been the major, dominant party. But somehow, the build-up to the next election starts immediately after the last, one.
True.
So immediately we ended the 2023 election. There were some persons who advised our boss, and principal. Even if I'm not in the same party, I still refer him to as my boss today, Mr. Peter Obi, very wonderful and competent person, to become president in Nigeria. So they advised him, that, see, you have the chairman of the party, Mr. Julius Aburi, from the south. You are from the south. Perhaps that was why we didn't get much vote from the north. So this time around, let us have a northern chairman, so that we'll be able to balance everything. That matter was going nocturnally. Many of us got to know about it. And when we appeared in a meeting with Mr. Peter Obi, I did advise that, look, this thing is going to cause problem. Because this is a party that a gentleman opened his doors and windows for all of us. In fact, sometimes I don't want to be too emotional about it. What happened to Julius Aburi, I don't pray it to happen to another, person.
Wow.
I don't mind all the stories people are talking about. None of them can be substantiated. I'm not saying he's a saint, but the narrative about Julius Aburi was to steer us away, from, the reality. Now, that idea is not a bad idea to my mind. But for me, I suggested that can we call Julius Aburi so that we can discuss this matter, for him to buy in, to it, instead of nocturnally trying to remove the share, from him. Because the gentleman actually gave us the platform. In many instances, monies were not collected, for forms, nomination forms.
Wow.
For many of us. Me, I'm an example. I never used my 2 eyes to see Julius Aburi until about when we were going to be sworn in at any time. Tony Izagu was the chairman in Delta. There was no time Izagu demanded 1 kobo, from me.
Wow.
So many of us came in like that.
Which is unusual.
Which is unusual. That's why I'm surprised that
there was so much promise about him.
We shouldn't have paid him back, like that. Look, from the day we were sworn in, there is no member, including myself, that can boast that they contributed 1 naira to the coffers of the Labour Party. And because no sooner this crisis came, it became a diversion. And of course, our principal, we all are very loyal, to him, and I'm loyal to date, but I disagree on this issue, and I said we could have managed it better.
In a different way.
Aburi moved ahead, and quickly did his convention in Inewi.
Before they could...
Yes, he moved ahead. And
because he wasn't consulted, like you said.
Yes, he wasn't consulted on this matter. He knew it from feelers he was getting from communities. Yes. So he went ahead. And that convention...
So he preempted them.
Good, so to say. The average Nigerian chairman of all these small parties, and they want to be there. Don't just joke. Don't just come and think you want to leave. No one. They are not going to the level where in Nigeria you see a political party chairman willingly wanting to say in the best interest of the party we should do this. So he's a human being like any of us.
True.
People today that are elected into office, there are many that are going to die to remain in that office, as if the office was signed off to them and their children, and their parents. No, politics is not like that. It's like a football match. Nobody dies in it. So take that mentality when you are dealing with some of these persons. So Aburi went ahead, got elected. But like the same people, in order to preempt it, they went to INEC to tell INEC that they should not recognize Aburi. That was where the problem started. He gave rise to the Ketika Committee. I advise. There was nowhere in the Ketika Committee, in the constitution of the Labour Party, that we shouldn't do that. It will destroy the party. Before we knew it, government entered into Labour Party. And today, you can see that Labour Party ceased to exist in 35 states of the 36. Now working with Mr. President.
So, in your own view, the problem and the crisis in Labour Party was not initiated by the presidency?
Or no, it was not. Certainly not.
They only took advantage of it.
They took advantage of it.
Because some of the things that Peter Obi's people, especially the obedience crowd, especially on social media, what they say is that, it's the presidency, APC that came. So you are saying that this was the original
I bet anything I have, including my life. See, if all Nigerians are standing on one side on this matter, me, I will stand on this one. This is the truth as I know it. I wasn't an outsider. I was inside. The issue came about where the chairman should come from of the party. I can tell you that.
Interesting.
Yes, that is the issue. But later, like I said, it was the government entered. They had willing persons who are ready to work. So the outcome now can even tell you what it is. What is Labour Party today? Here's the presidential candidate of Labour Party.
So sad.
At the time, Mr. Peter Obi left ADC to looking for another party.
Yeah.
There was still opening in the Labour Party.
Yeah, actually.
But he was not given the room to come in. The door was shut.
Wow. As a matter of fact, I remember that Dr. Datia Baba Ahmed actually said that he was hoping that he would come back.
I was hoping, so I was the only legislator that was still remaining. Me and one or two.
I want to leave because
I didn't leave the Labour Party left me. I was in the last convention in Umahia, April. That is few weeks to the extension or the deadline for submission of register according to INEC.
Right.
And they took a motion to dissolve all the ESCOs in 35 states of the federation. So when it was getting to 3, 4, 5 days, like now, there's no person that is chairman in my ward. Wow. There's nobody that is chairman in my local government. I can't, until recently I hear that one of my younger sisters is the chairman or interim sole administrator of the party. There was none. So, and I needed to move forward.
Yeah.
So what do I do? That was why, and I'm saying this for the first time. If not, I wasn't really interested. It's so painful.
And now you are in the PDP.
I have a Labour background, so
yeah. Because hearing your story that you came in with the Labour Party wave, that shows clearly that you are at least you are a politician of a different pedigree, and it's so sad that Labour Party went the way it did. But what are you going to be doing now that since you said you're not coming back?
I looked at all the political parties. And sorry to say that they have not managed their affairs very well. From the ADC to even the NDC to the SDP, to all of them, they've not managed themselves very well. So even the PDP, have not managed it. I've been in PDP before. I left. So when I thought about, as a politician, you must have a base,
a platform.
A platform. And I felt that PDP still remains the nest to APC, in terms of...
So which of the leaders now?
I looked at the one that I think, by the concern of the party, and the events that has taken place in the recent time, that the one that has Alhaji Tanimu Turaki, I'm convinced, as a lawyer, based on the judgments of the Appeal Court and the Supreme Court, that is the authentic party. We may have issues today, but tomorrow I know we'll come back to reality. What is keeping the party into two? It's a very small matter. If not, reconciling these two factions is less than 5 minutes. One says, we don't want to feed a candidate against Mr. President. How good that is for democracy. It's left for us to judge. While the other says, no, as a opposition party, we must feed a candidate.
Very interesting. It's been quite a very interesting conversation, and hopefully, we'll bring you back to talk about more of the issues. And I hope that you don't, having said some of those great things about Nigeria's future, that you don't give up.
No, I don't.
Because we don't have any other country.
No, yes.
Thank you so much, Representative Benedict Etame Bennett. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources, and thank you for sharing your insight.
It's my pleasure, sir.
All right, thank you. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like when we say Nigeria will prevail, it means Nigeria will win, partly because we will keep talking about the major issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laulu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.